I got Lucas McGill here. Tommy Lepore here from Blue Springs South. Brett Norfleet.
Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast. Prep Baseball Talk. Oh, joked on myself there. Sorry, folks. Powered by Game 7 Baseball, game7baseball.com. I'm back in the engineering seat today. As you can see, Lauren's on vacation. So, but having all that said, it's been a good week. Game 7 Baseball, we had our World Series finishing up. We're getting ready to head into the off season with them. We'll have a little bit more. We're going to do our home run derby. I want everybody to check this on your calendar. It's going to be a lot of fun. Game 7 will be out there with us. We're doing the third annual Cops versus Kid home run derby out at historic ABC Ballpark. This is our third year working with Billy Mayhall, St. Louis Youth Sports Outreach. And hang on, I'm going to put this up here real quick so folks can see this. Bear with me because as I said, I told Kevin I'm doing the engineering and all of that here. So there it is, St. Louis Youth Sports Outreach. We got we were out there last year. Some bombs hit 642 home runs, Kevin. So
whoa,
yeah. And
how many were you responsible for?
Absolutely zero.
Oh man.
I don't know if I can hit the ball 200 feet anymore, man. It was enough just to get the ball from the pitcher's mound at Bush to the catcher.
There we go.
Ah, mercy. But we had some cops out there that could swing it pretty good. Some guys that played some college ball.
I bet there's a couple boys that can run it out of the yard on the police force for sure. Probably some former players and definitely some guys that do some good heavy lifting still.
Exactly. So going to be a lot of fun. We come out, join us. We're going to be live streaming as well. We are putting together the rosters, finishing up that, talking to some folks. So we're going to have some kids out there. Heck, we had Carson Ramos out there. We've had, Cooper DeManuel's out there. We've had last year's winner, and you know what? I had the name, and I didn't write it down from last year. And a kid from the Gators, oh, gosh. I know I want to say it wrong. I'm going to get it, and I'll say it. I'll put all this in paper next week, and we'll talk about it, and I'll put all the names. Because we had some good kids, man. There's been some big-time kids come through this home run derby. It's been a lot of fun. And so we're looking forward to doing it again. So put that on your calendar, August 19th. There'll be food, prizes, going to give away another glove to the winner, Heart of the High glove. So that will be provided by Prime Sports Midwest. Always good stuff in the community. This is about community awareness, supporting our police officers in the community, those guys that patrol the streets and, put their lives in danger every time. So it'll be a lot of fun. So put that on your calendar, and we'll hope to see you out there, or at least, give us a watch there. As always, today, joined by the guru, Kevin Mulder. We saw him out at what we're going to talk about, the St. Louis Metro Collegiate League All-Star Game. Kevin, that was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite nights of the summer. I've been on all sides of that event. I played in that and was also an all-star, and then coached in the league, and now I'm there as a an advisor or fan of the league, and so fun night. Get to see a lot of local talent. Occasionally, you get some guys that maybe aren't from the area but are interning or in the area for the league. But always a good night for St. Louis baseball, and the other night was no different.
Absolutely. Some, I always love when the guys, these college players, are using wood bats. We've talked about this before. I think it just makes the game better.
It does, and the game gets played with a little better pace. It does make you a better hitter training with the wood bat. So I think it is great. It's definitely we were at a high school field
Mm-hmm.
basically, but when you put the wood bat in it kind of there was two home runs in the game, and it works really well. So it is good to see, and I'm an advocate of the wood bat. I don't think it'll ever come into play for like
Right.
uh, high school baseball, for or at least for like Misha spring season and whatnot. But I am a fan of it in summer baseball, or training with it, and definitely it's what the scouts want to see, especially out of the college guys.
So we opened up in 2019, and basically there was a void in the area. I mean, we saw that there was an opportunity to have a retail store where people could come in and actually touch and feel the tangible object that they're buying.
And here's the thing, too, Kevin. I wish, especially the Power Five conferences in collegiate baseball, I would love to see them go to wood. I know probably financially it's a little tougher, and I know financially you couldn't do it probably across all D1 and especially Division 2 and lower. But I think if you're talking about Division 1 Power 5 conferences, these are kids that are at looking at draft boards and things of that nature, and I think that discussion needs to be had because. And two, I mean, just how dangerous is it that you got that guy that's 6'5", 230, swinging that, a metal bat, for lack of a better way to put it. And man, that gets dangerous as a pitcher.
Yes, it does. It's an interesting thought. I will say there's a lot of money involved, not only cost, but coaches get paid by bat company. It is a branding thing that ultimately filters down to what you cover, youth league, and seeing the LSU Tigers swing a certain bat or Mizzou swing a certain bat or whoever. So it is. It's more to it than just the cost of the material, the wood bats for those teams. So there's but it would be fun to see. There are a couple junior colleges that conferences that swing wood bat out there.
Well,
So
so maybe an Easton starts making some wood bats, or D. Marini. I know Marucci, because Marucci is wood
Rucci,
bats. You've got,
yes,
I think, and then Rawlings, of course. They have wood bats too. So you can still, I think, put those things in that place. I understand the marketing side of it, and I think, follow the money, right?
there is also a reality, and it's going to be a little hard to put. There is only so much good wood, or quality, high level quality bats, like the wood bat that you go buy at Dick's or Johnny Mac. I guess Johnny Mac doesn't even exist anymore, but that's not the same wood bat that Nolan Arenado was swinging last night at the All Star game. Like the quality of the wood is it's
It's
completely
different.
different.
Yeah.
Yes.
I get that. And those are all factors. That's just a wish list. I think it would be interesting. And I'm not talking across all college baseball, but I think when you're dealing with Power 5 conferences, these are the top of the level, as we see, these kids are considered for the draft as well, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So, I mean, not that kids aren't getting drafted out of D2 and NAIA and all that. I'm not saying, but you're that's the premier side of it. So,
Yes.
all right, enough of that. um, there's a young man, and I'd met him before the game, but it was late in the game, watching, and some ground balls. It was, hang on, it was for the American team. Kellen Scruggs, who's at Missouri Western, sophomore, was playing shortstop. And big, thick kid. But my gosh, Kevin, he was athletic.
Absolutely. There was a bunch of good athletes out there. And that's a good thing. Going to a game like that is a great reminder for all these high school guys. Get in the weight room. My goodness, it's a different game, isn't it?
It is. It is a different game. And, on the roster here, Scruggs is showing as a first baseman utility, and he sure did not have any trouble playing shortstop there. And made some really, I was just kind of, things that pop out at you. That's something that I recognize when I look down. I'm thinking, man, this kid is playing shortstop, and his hands were just quick, smooth. Everything looked like, I can play shortstop. I can play. Just put me on the field.
I saw a great tweet. It was a couple weeks ago. It was around it was in the College World Series, and it had the average weight of each team. And on the high end was the Florida Gators. I think the weight was 212, 213 pounds. On the low end was Stanford. They were like 190 pounds. But all the teams were between those two weights on average. So, yeah, these are big guys.
And, I think that's interesting because we don't think about it that much, do we? But that size, especially at 18, 19, 20 years old, you still got guys that by their time they're 25 will put on another 10 to 15 pounds, right?
Absolutely, yes.
So, yeah, they're not done. So that's some big kids. Talk to us about some of the kids that stood out for you, Kevin.
Oh, you know what? Going to an event like that's always fun. Just to see the kids from a couple years ago, and then there's also players that are entering college, and I think that's a phenomenal league for that because then you're getting exposure to older guys and sometimes the younger guy. A lot of times the younger players are even the more talented players, but they're not better than the 21-year-old that's at the Division III school or whatever because he's played college baseball. He knows and bigger, stronger, etc. So it's fun to watch. But yeah, we saw a couple good arms. Wyatt Brown was a former future gamer who was starred Afton, was fun to watch. Colin Maloney, who's heading to Arkansas State. Big arm out of Melville that had a big outing. Owen Kelly heading to St. Louis U was representing the extreme. East Side kid was really impressive. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Luke Smith, Merrimack player heading to Fompon, was one of the guys that hit a home run, and that's Fompon's home field, by the way. So he was getting used to the park. So that was cool. And then the other guy that ran one out of there was Connor Lindsay from Wash U. in WashU. We've talked about this. We haven't talked about it in a while. How many good small schools? I'm not going to lump, WashU is not a small school, but it isn't a Division I or Power Five school. And I've talked to you on the show about how good baseball is in our area, our state. WashU and Webster are two of the top Division III programs in the country. Uh, we all know about Central Missouri. Maryville University finished the season in the top 25 in the Division II. We know about some of the great junior college baseball in our state, in our area. Missouri Baptist, one of the top NAIA programs. And you get to see a lot of these players at this All-Star game. So really cool, fun night. Yeah, a lot of fun.
And, when you look at Connor Lindsay, there you go. We're talking, this kid's 6'1", 230. He's a
big fella.
Big kid. And just a sophomore. And swings it. Another one. And I think I think it's interesting, because, and FYI, if you're watching, I'll put the link in the description down here too, to the link to watch the game. If you haven't seen, if you didn't get a chance, go watch the game, because these kids, I think we get a little skewed when we're watching youth baseball and then, some high school baseball and whatnot. But the high level of play from Division III JUCO to Division II, there was a handful of Division I kids there. But just the athleticism across the board, I think, is what people fail to recognize when the cream. I use the example: cream rises to the top, and that's always what sport is about. Every time you go up a level, it just gets harder, and because everybody is better, and are you better than that guy? And when you see a Connor Lindsay, this is and not to mention, you don't get into WashU unless you're highly intelligent.
Have a 37 on your ACT.
I mean, right?
Doesn't exist, right? But.
I mean, you have to go through an interview process. This is not an easy in. So you're talking about a highly intelligent individual with a high level of skill playing baseball, and kudos to that young man. I want to give a shout out. We got a chance to talk to, and I appreciate it. Kevin was bringing people over. The highlight of the night was I got to talk to Ozzie Smith. I never thought in my wildest imagination that I would calling a game with Ozzie Smith to my right.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Ozzie's a big part of the league. Comes and gives out the Coach of the Year and Player of the Year award. What a great community member. That's something he doesn't have to do, and he is as genuine and nice of a person and gives back to the baseball community, and he's almost always at that event.
And that, to me, Kevin, was the biggest thing. Just sitting and talk to him. We were just like you and I sitting here chatting baseball. That's the way it was. And he was just as like I was blown away. It was so fun. It was just so fun. And I agree with him on one thing, because he's not a big advocate of the new rule changes in MLB. He goes, man, if you can't hit it the other way, that's your fault.
Yes. Yeah.
He said that on air, man. I was like, there you go. Ozzie, I'm with you there, bro. Learn how to hit the other way. I thought it was great. But we had right behind him Mitchell Bonkowski for going to UMSL.
UMSL, yeah.
Yeah. Fun kid, really nice kid to talk to. I think Scott Ewell he's recruiting very well over there at UMSL right now.
We talked about this. I I forget when we had him on, the winter or the fall, late fall. He's breathing some life into that program, and that's a program that used to be extremely strong, and he's already improved them greatly. He was out at the event the other night. He's out there working. I see him all the time at high school games or one of my events and whatnot, and they're doing a good job, and they are certainly getting after it.
And he knows in order to get next level talent, you got to become a program that people want to be associated with, right?
Absolutely, and yeah, he's working on the visibility part of it and just being out and seen, and good things are going to happen for those guys.
Absolutely. But congrats to Mitchell Bonkowski. When I first looked at his name, I said to him when I was talking to him, I says, "Man, I was scared to death to pronounce your last name." And he says, "I don't worry, everybody butchers it." Because when you look at it, you're like, okay. But really fun young man to talk to, and enjoyed that conversation greatly. That was a lot of fun. That was my first experience with the Metro Collegiate League, and shout out to Joel Anderson from St. Louis Sports Productions, who invited me to come over and call the game for him, and we're looking forward to doing some more stuff with Joel. That was really a lot of fun. He did a great job with the pictures as well. So, like I said, the link will be at the bottom. If you're watching, go watch the game. Watch these players. I think it's a great opportunity if you're a high school player and things of that nature to get a look at that. So, voila. Want to turn our attention. We had a big one this past weekend in the draft, Kevin.
Sure did.
Mr. Nazan Zanatello, 50th overall. Wow.
Really cool story. We've gotten to watch him grow up, develop through over at CBC and blossom into the 50th overall pick by the Boston Red Sox. And, not surprising to anyone that knows him or has been around him. But watching him on MLB Network during the draft, he was one of the 7 players they invited to attend the draft. He absolutely lit it up. You're talking about a high character, high makeup kid with tons of tools and ability. Easy guy to root for. So it was exciting to see him get rewarded. And congratulations to the Boston Red Sox for getting that young man.
Yeah, the first time I saw Nazan play was, I think, 13U with the St. Louis Force. And that team was quite stacked because Jake McGee, I think, is on that team.
It's a really strong team. Yeah.
That's
the first time I saw him as well at a workout with the Force.
That was legit, boy. They beat a lot of people, and but there you go. So congratulations. And I think I said this to you the other day when I was talking about it, that the thing that impressed me the most was his ability. He's standing right there, Harold Reynolds. I don't think people realize the gravity and the weight of everything around you in these situations. These are people that, this is big time stuff. And this kid was as collected and sure of himself. There was no arrogance in it. It was just him being him. And you can tell that. I think you can see it within that. And I was so impressed with this young man and his ability just to be in the moment, enjoy it, talk about just how he thinks and what he thinks about things. And he's, I think, endeared himself to a lot of people.
He's a good role model or example for young players in our area, or really just anywhere. I have got a chance to be around him while he works out, on a semi-regular basis at times during his high school career. Um, the way he handles himself is really impressive. He's also the type of guy, and this part is something that maybe is natural, and maybe others can't always emulate, but he makes people smile, and I think he just the way he carries himself, he's going to have a good influence in any dugout that he's in. And what I mean by that is he makes it fun to come to the park. He plays the game with energy. It's genuine, and that's infectious and a positive thing for a team. So, that might honestly be his number one skill and tool of all. And he has, he runs, he hits, he can throw, he can field. So it's not like I'm saying he's not really good at those things too. Obviously he is, but the character is off the charts.
There you go. And I think that was one of the things he said in that interview on MLB was, everybody's seen me. They know I can throw. They know I can hit. Those are things I wanted to come here and people get to know me. I wanted to do well, go through the process, and and I think that was to me, it was like this light bulb. Yeah, they've seen me play, but they don't know who I am. And, they go through all the testing and all the stuff that way. And I think he was really prepared. So, and kudos to his parents, I mean, that goes a long way in my estimation when you have that kind of foundation underneath you. And so kudos to the family and congratulations to Nazan Zanatello. Wish him well. I mean, it'd be hard for me to root for him with the Yankees, but he's with the Red Sox, so that's okay.
Dodged a bullet. He didn't go to the Cubs either. So
exactly. Oh man, you know what? You just love to see that they get to play at that level, wherever it is. You become a fan, right? I'm sure his parents become Red Sox fans right away. The next thing, Kevin, was I wanted to talk about with this is when we're talking about these types of kids and you're talking about players that are at that level, we that's the showy stuff, that's the things like that. But as we were finishing up with this at the St. Louis Metro Collegiate League, a lot of these kids, Division II, JUCO, that scenario. And I want to make sure when we're discussing these things, this is always what I've intended with Youth Baseball Midwest and what I wanted to do with the podcast. There are so many talented kids. You were talking about weight, size, things of this nature. Most high school kids, especially coming out of high school, 5'11", 150 pounds. I remember seeing Titus Sissel, and I follow Titus and watching him this summer. He's playing with the Royal Scout team, and he was always a skinny kid, kind of smaller. He's starting to grow, and one of the things that is impressive is he's gotten better, and you can see it. I mean, he's hitting bombs, and especially from the left side. He's hitting. So you're adding power, not because he's trying to hit home runs, just because he's growing up. He's getting physically stronger as a young man. And his bat that is very productive is now adding power, not because he's trying to change the launch angle, but because he's just getting stronger.
Absolutely. There's a natural development to this, but lifting weights will expedite that process. And, a 14-year-old kid is not going to hit the ball the same way a senior, in high school will. So there is part of it is age, but it's a combination of, once you get going into the development is the diet and the strength training becomes such a big piece of it when you're trying to get that extra edge.
I see so much different baseball, age levels, skill levels, and things of that nature. We're out at the Game 7 World Series, skills competition, home run derby, right? And it always is interesting to me to watch, especially 13 and 14-year-olds, and your swing and how an understanding of what a home run really is and how those things. And when you hear an Albert Pujols say, I'm just trying to put a good swing on the baseball, how do you understand that? What does that mean? And then you're talking, we're at Bridgeton, BMAC. Those kids are hitting up by the pitcher's mound because it's about 250, so it scoots it up probably 225, 13, 14-year-old. It's pretty good, right? Mm-hmm. And the kid that won the home run derby hit 2 home runs. So, and people go, oh, that's not a lot. Get your hind end out there and swing a bat, and tell me about that, because I saw a 13-year-old lefty hit 4. He finally got a good rhythm, got his swing. He was timing and all those things because it was going off a pitching machine. And he hit 4 home runs, which was the most of anybody for the day you got 10 pitches. So that is really actually impressive. If you get 2 home runs out of 10 pitches, you didn't get 10 swings, you got 10 pitches. That's pretty impressive.
It is. And, home run derbies are fun, and especially around the MLB All-Star game, you get to see those guys, they're hitting 41 homers in a round. And but the thing to remember, and you just brought up like Titus Sissel, for example, the most important thing is you work and have a good swing when you get big and strong, like Titus Sissel has done, like Nazan Zanatello, like a Caden Peer. Your good swing will translate into home runs. It's just not going to happen for you when you're 11, 12, 13 years old. And a lot of the times, the guys that are hitting the home runs at 11, 12, 13-year-old, sometimes they don't have the best swings, and it gets exposed, or they're the early developed kids, and things change around in high school. And then a guy like a Titus Sissel, he ends up catching up physically or even passing by, and off he goes.
Right. Exactly. And I just hope people understand. It's like what we're doing with the Cops versus Kids home run derby. It's a 200-foot fence. And people go, why is it only 200 feet? Because we want home runs. We want these kids to have some fun. Hit 10, 15, 20 home runs. I don't care, man. Smack as many as you can, right?
Exactly.
That's what it's about. It's supposed to be fun. This is an event that's fun. And when you put it at 200 feet, that's when but ABC Ballpark is a high school field. I don't think many of those kids are going to hit home runs out of that park. That's just the short and tall of it. There you go. So I think it's very interesting when we're talking about the development and we're talking about these high-level players. Go watch these guys. If you can develop your swing, and this to me is so important as we're coming to the end of the season, and I've seen what I've seen from AA to AAA baseball in all levels from 9 years old up to 14, and then even from high school, from the these freshmen to seniors. There are so many different body types and styles and things and whatnot that go into youth baseball, because I don't care, even at high school, it's still youth baseball. They're young men. Some of them are still boys. It's just the way it is. And you're dealing, and it's what you call it, right? It's boys baseball and men's college baseball.
Absolutely.
So there's a reality to this. And I think we put too much pressure on some of these kids in the development. I think it got away from us there a little bit when with hit tracks, and we started talking about launch angle to an 11-year-old. That's
Exactly right. At the lower ages, you just want to be teaching good fundamentals, a good swing. You can learn how to lift the baseball. They always say power is the last tool to develop out of a hitter. There is time to learn how to lift the baseball. You produce a good swing, know how to hit the ball, drive the ball to all fields. The home run derby championships will come in time.
and we do it for fun. That's fine. And don't worry if you only hit one and you won. It was hilarious because the 9-year-olds, right, did a home run derby. Okay. So the young man, the young boy that come over, just fun to talk to. I said, so you won the home run derby? Yep. How many did you hit? None. I said, oh. I get it. I said, you hit it the farthest of everybody, right? And he said, yep. That's okay, right?
That's awesome. Yep.
Because at 9 years old, most of the home runs are in the park home runs anyway.
That is right.
Exactly. So I think that's fantastic. That is so great. And we had a great conversation. He was fun to talk to. 9 years old, just having a good time. And I think these are things that we need to make sure we keep in baseball. And to your point about hitting to all fields, one of the best BPs I saw was way back in February with Riker Benz at the event you have at the sports bar.
Preseason All-State event. Riker had a great round of BP.
And just peppered the gaps. And I the more I go to your events, Kevin, the more I'm seeing a lot of these kids peppering these gaps. And that's where, and I think if you're learning how to hit, make sure you let that fastball get deep and think right center, because then you'll catch that off-speed pitch and be able to bang that out of the ballpark.
Absolutely. One of the things I look for, when you find a kid, especially a high school kid, that has the ability to legitimately drive the ball into the opposite field gap, like a Riker, you're dealing with someone that has some ability, some talent, someone that can hit the outfield, not necessarily on the fly, but just line drive, 1-2 hop off the opposite field gap. You're dealing with a kid that has a good swing.
There you go. And it was Luke Smith. I think he hit that opposite field, a left-handed bat. His home run at the collegiate was opposite field, So I love that, because that is legitimate. But if you can drive that ball like that, man, that's not easy to do. It takes some strength. And especially when you got a guy throwing at you upper 80s, good breaking stuff. What are you seeing? How are you seeing the baseball? And one of the things that I was talking with Mitchell Bonkowski about is, when did you realize that you had to take an approach to the plate with you instead of just going up there and swinging the bat? When did that sink in? And he did. He said, when I got to high school, my sophomore year, I figured out I just couldn't go up there and swing at the ball anymore. I had to have some kind of intent or understanding of what I'm trying to accomplish at the plate, which made me a better hitter, which brought an understanding and awareness of what a pitcher's trying to do to me and how do I counter that, and what's my swing like. Because as you talk about, Kevin, I think this is the most interesting thing. We hear it at the youth levels, have an approach. Well, what is an approach? Are we explaining that? Are we talking to 11 and 12-year-olds about an approach at the plate, whether they can execute it or not? I mean, right. That's beside the point in my estimation. But as you talk to these kids, they're hearing you. talk to him. What's your approach? Let's let the ball get deep. And at this level, at most youth levels, and I'm sorry, into high school, I wish, God help me, I wish I'd see a pitcher throw on the inner half of the plate, for crying out loud. I mean, I don't care if you stick it in his ear hole, man. Take the inside of the plate, please. I get so tired of watching these guys, and I know people might go, gosh, Brian, but for crying out loud, man. I understand the outer half, but all I got to do is stick my toes on the chalk and hit it into the opposite field. I mean, you're making it easy for the hitter. I just don't get it. Am I wrong? Am I losing my mind here?
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
It's so when we talk about approach, if I'm seeing that as a high school hitter or as a high school coach or even as a youth coach, that's all I'm talking about, because most kids don't want, and at the youth levels, I understand most kids don't want to hit somebody. You know, I'm of the opinion that once you get into high school, if you didn't get out of the way, that's your fault. Right? That's just it. I mean, I'm not trying to hit you, but if I'm coming inside and the ball gets away, you got to get out of the way. If it hits you, then my bad, but take your base and we're moving on. Did you have that mentality as a pitcher?
I did not worry about hitting batters, I can assure you.
You can't, can you, Kevin?
No, you can't. You certainly don't want to hurt anyone, but you can't even be a thought process when you're pitching. You got to make your pitches. If a guy gets hit, he gets hit. It's part of competing. You might get hit by a line drive too. So it works both ways. And I'm certainly not advocating throwing. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about you got to pitch to all parts of the plate, all parts of the zone, even a little bit off the plate. All directions, above the strike zone, away, off the plate, inside, a little low. That's part of being a pitcher.
Absolutely. And personally, because I think we only pitch on one side of the plate in youth sports and high school baseball, I think you're giving the hitter the advantage. And if you're not a hitter taking advantage of that, you don't understand an approach or taking an approach to the plate. How am I executing my at-bat early in the count to later in the count, and what I'm trying to accomplish, and how do I see the field, and where is he positioned? If I know I've got a gap and this guy's sitting on the outer half, I'm just letting the ball sit deep and swinging that way. I want to hit. If I'm a righty, I want to hit that right center gap and try and bang it off the wall if I can. My humble opinion. But that's right. The views of this show are not necessarily those of our sponsors or guests, but solely the opinion of Youth Baseball Midwest. Throw the disclaimer in there.
There you go.
But I think that's development. And I know you see a lot of this stuff, Kevin, because you see players at all levels all the time.
Yeah, certainly do. And, there's a natural progression to it. And, it's no different than us talking about Zanatello and watching him from his 14U team to where he is now. There are peaks and valleys along the way. It wasn't always easy. You watch Nas walk across the stage and get picked, by the Red Sox. Trust me, he worked really hard, and he had tough days along the way. He didn't always go 4 for 5 with a homer and a double. He had tough days where he'd strike out or make errors, and the guys that keep working and that can handle the adversity of that are the guys that end up being as successful as he was. Now, not everyone's going to be drafted. Not everyone's going to have that type of talent, but getting the most out of their ability, whether that's being able to be a draft pick, be a college baseball player or making your varsity high school baseball team, which is, to me, anyone that's in youth baseball, that should be goal number one. Let's make your high school baseball team, and then we'll make the next goal from there.
I love the fact of what Ozzie said when we were sitting there talking. His whole thought process. These kids are in college. They're getting their education. They're taking advantage of an opportunity that baseball has afforded them, and that's where he stayed. He said, if you're fortunate enough to get to the next level, fantastic. He says, but understand what the community is about and what the process here. And I think that, Kevin, is one of the things that you're in this for. You've been at the collegiate level coaching, and you want to see these kids graduate, don't you?
Oh, yeah. That is the the main goal in all of this. With college baseball, you're working your way through, and you're getting work towards your degree and end up with the diploma. That is the main goal for 99%. Of these guys, that's what it's going to end up being. And even the guy, we've talked about this as well. Even the guys that get drafted, and there's very few that actually make a full lifelong job out of this. Even the guys that make the big leagues will end up needing to fall back on something eventually. Very few get that lifelong the contract that sets them up for the rest of their life.
Absolutely. And case in point, we had Tim Gurnow, the new head coach over at McKendree. My son played with him in college. Here, he knew what he wanted to do. He's playing college ball. He got his degree, his teaching degree. He started coaching. He wanted to coach. Now he's got his first head coaching job, D2. He's 28 years old. Kudos to him. And that's what I mean. There's ways to be part of the game without just playing that level. Everybody has, I think, if you're playing at some point, you have aspirations. You think about, I would love to do that, right? I'm sure you did as a pitcher. I want to stand on the mound at Busch Stadium and chuck some fastballs. Everybody does.
Absolutely. It's great to have those dreams and that desire and the drive to do that. And there's that's natural and good. Everyone takes the journey, and it helps get you through the college piece of it.
And here you are, the guru yourself, man. Look at you. See that?
Yeah. You know what? The journey is always interesting, and it doesn't always take you to where things, but it's, the experiences of it are the fun part of it.
And folks, just a FYI, I gave that name to Kevin. He accepts it reluctantly, as you can tell, but I won't let it go. Oh, mercy. Kevin, as always, man, that's a lot of fun. I appreciate it. We're hoping we'll see. We've got some good stuff coming up. I'll keep you up to date. We're going to be down at I'm looking forward to calling the games for the American Legion State Championship.
Oh, that'll be awesome. Great.
That's going to be at Sedalia, working again with St. Louis Sports Productions, Joel Anderson. He's going to be providing the pictures, and I'm going to flap my gums like I always do.
Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do some interviews. We're going to have a lot of fun down there. Hoping to maybe get an opportunity here. We're working on it to do the championship series for the St. Louis Metro Collegiate League as well. So we'll see.
Cool.
I don't know yet. But I think the more we can do this kind of stuff, that's always been the goal. It'll be that we can bring some more awareness and pictures and talk about and get some of this out. I think it's so much, especially this Metro Collegiate League. being involved in that, these kids playing. There's so many opportunities to continue to progress, get better, and I love that part of it. Thanks, everybody, for watching. As always, we do appreciate it. Hey, look, it's right there on the screen. Kevin Mulder at PBR_Mulder. That is Twitter and Instagram. You can also catch him on at PBR Missouri. That is also Instagram and Twitter. So make sure it's a great follow. Keeps you up to date, seeing who's out there, seeing what's going on. Make sure you follow Kevin Mulder on social media. Folks, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, Kevin.
Keep throwing strikes.
I love it. Hitters, let's do some double Ds, right? Some doubles and dingers. It's good to hit a double too, man. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see y'all next time.